Hello and a warm welcome back to the WenDirkCast with Jimbo and Calvinator. We will be discussing the latest updates, transfers, developments, and so much more that has gone on over the last week or so. One important note before we kick this episode off: none of what we chat about is financial advice. Do your own scouting or hire a director of Metaverse football. What a week it's been, Calva, and there's been no matches, hey? No competitive matches. What a week it's been.
But enough drama happening, and we'll uncover some of the drama and the things and what's misfortunes and stories and everything. So I think, a lot to discuss. We are gonna focus later on this episode on the Diamond League, a little Diamond deep dive. Stay tuned. So also, if you are a humble manager in Spark, this can be very interesting because you know how the big boys are tackling certain issues like tactics, rotation, team building, and planning for the future. So I think it is great content for everyone, very interesting. We definitely, for us it's also really interesting to read the latest stories from our Diamond managers and their approaches. And there's quite some changes, personnel-wise, manager-wise, and little sneak peek, sneak review, cliffhanger, some new collaborations happening.
Some collaborations, yeah.
Stay tuned for that, yes.
Certainly a one that any manager within the pyramid can take some lessons from, because we're not just assuming things. We talk about this diamond deep dive. We have gone and, we've gone and asked these diamond managers for some information. So they've been very open and honest, as much as they can be and want to be, and allow us to talk about them and their club on the pod today.
Yes, indeed. So I'm it'll be fun to talk about that before updates, and before that, of course, some stream talk and maybe some WenDirk Cup talk. Do you wanna share that?
Yeah, go on. I'll start with the WenDirk Cup stuff. So many of you listening will have been signed up to either 700, 800, or the 910 cap. Some of you maybe all three. Some of you maybe more than one. Some of you maybe just the one. And they are match conditions. So there is an overall cap, hence the name 700, 800, 910. But also to try and prevent people playing players out of position and in that loophole that exists within the engine in its current state, you could say, we imposed maximum counts on particular rarities. So 700, maximum of 3 uncommons, no rarities higher allowed, and 800, maximum 3 rares, no higher allowed, and then 910, 3 legendaries, no higher allowed. All was looking amazing. We expanded the 700 from 1 to 8 to 2, 5, 6 because it had so much demand. So we had about 420 clubs were taking part across all 3 tournaments, which I think is phenomenal. And to fill them within a couple of days was crazy. So thank you to all of you who registered. And it was getting to the time for the match to start today. And turns out there's been a little bit of a gremlin within the MFL system that has meant that those match conditions of caps and rarity caps just seemingly was transparent, and there's no blockade. There was nothing put in place. So maybe by the time you're listening to this, it's all been resolved and we're all happy days and things have happened and we're all good now. But oh my word, for about half an hour, that was probably the most stressful I've ever been. Up there with 7-2 Serbia. In terms of because I was like, there's nothing we could. It was traumatic. It was like going back a year. It can't be a single calendar year for Jimbo in WenDirk without something like that happening, being stressful. But I had to get the comms out quick to say, look, it's not going how it's supposed to be. I've contacted MFL, and hopefully by the time we listen to this, it's all been resolved. But yeah, a little bit of a mishap, but I think people were pretty appreciative of me sort of like putting my hands up and be like, right, it's clearly not going right. Nothing we can do about it at the end of the day. It's just unfortunate it happened, really. It's just frustrating. I think that's the word, frustrating, when you can't do anything about it, but you probably know what's happened.
Yeah. So hopefully, but it's still, I think it could be even like more fun if you can speedrun a whole tournament on the Monday.
I think that might be happening.
Yeah, I think that's kind of exciting.
We might do it all Monday to Wednesday.
Yeah, throughout the whole day, you watch like your free group matches, and then I'm through, and then okay, you're not gonna do a lot at work probably, but it will be really fun to to keep going through.
Yeah,
it. So maybe
I mean the 9-10 cap was going to be Monday to Wednesday anyway. Regardless of whenever we do a tournament, people always ask the question, when does it end? Regardless of when we do a tournament with WenDirk, it will always end by the time any competitive matches kick off again. So there'll be no having to worry about and do separate lineups.
Yeah,
and
lineups
like
and exactly. So,
but maybe this all was foreshadowed by Blue Kit having a nightmare 2 times.
Indeed, that was
on
the other very unfortunate thing. So for people who missed it, we had like, well, I like the typing questions. I think they're fun because it kind of mixes things up. But unfortunately, yeah, 2 times with a typing question, it just froze and was gone. So, but luckily it worked when I removed all the typing ones. So maybe next time, because we had so many people joining, I guess there was
over
a thing 200. So I think I'll get rid of the typing ones. Some people also hate the typing ones. So like, why are these in between?
Yeah.
So it will be only multiple choice for the next drop. To just we don't want another frozen quiz. That will be.
But let's spin on this week and say what a great week it's been for us to give away things to the community, though. Massive thanks to Shadowbearded for donating some gifts. So this week we're able to give away 3 clubs, 2 Iron and a Stone, and a player probably worth about $200 amongst other clubs, amongst other players, packs, and MFL. So let's look on the. We had a little bit of the negative side of the week, the not so great. Let's look at the great side, and we surpassed 1,000 followers on Twitter as well. So thank you to all of you who have supported us, and we will keep doing what we're doing.
In the grand scheme of things, all positives. But maybe
just a little bit, buy the dip, no.
I was like, I think that's a great transition to my moment of the week, which is the appearance of Fake Calva, my impersonator, who showed up and started adding people and talking to them about this amazing trading tool, mirror trading or whatever. Yeah, so for those who don't know, there is a impersonator of me active, contacting random people and tricking them into joining some trading platform. So you could say, Jimbo, like that's also very bad and feels very bad if someone is impersonating you. On the other hand, it also shows that apparently now we got so big that people want to impersonate us.
I think
it's a compliment.
It's probably one of the top compliments you could have, I think, to yourself, Calva, that someone has felt the need to impersonate you. Do you know what I found really funny as well? Well, I tried to add them and they didn't accept me. Shock horror. I wanted to really try and
so they are aware there is a podcast that we work
they are
together,
aware.
So,
and in the WenDirk in the Discord server, you and I have the purple name because we're admins, and even in his bio he has the purple circle and the word admin, so he's trying to really be you. And I don't know if you saw that some people in the community and friends of the pod have been accepting the request and just basically going along with it. And some of the things coming out there is so funny. Someone, I can't remember who it was, I would scroll up the Discord, but there's just been a lot in the chat at the moment, was basically got you to explain your hair care routine to him, where it's like a massive 4 or 5 lines of how you look after your hair and your hair care routine.
But also, it was like a dead giveaway because he got so angry and grumpy, and it was like, "Are you happy now? Are you happy now?" Like, I would never say that. I was like, "Oh, here's my hair care routine, and enjoy. And do you need any more tips? Do you need a video tutorial? You know, I'll stay happy. I'm nice. I'm always nice with people. I would never say, "Oh, are you happy now?" So yeah, it's good to mess with him a little bit, but of course also do report him after you messed around with him. It would be good to get rid of this guy. But yeah. I think that was kind of a moment like, what the hell, is this real? And it's maybe so, it's like the blue cat, right? We grow so fast that you run into some problems like blue cat, the quiz doesn't work because we got too big, or people start using your name to scam people. So scaling issues.
I found the message. It was Bene96, who's been a recent good friend of the pod. Can I quickly read to you the message of your own hair care routine? Not that you need to know about it, because obviously you type this message out, of course, so you know what I'm about to say anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
So he put, "I can only trust a man willing to share his hair care routine." And then you put, "Can you leave the hair care routine out of the business?" let us talk about the business here, and later we'll discuss about the hair the hair routine. He put hair routine first, business second. That is the first rule of business. To which you respond with, I consistently use moisturising products, including leave-in conditioning treatments. Use a wide-toothed comb or your fingers to detangle rather than a paddle brush, and work slowly in sections. Avoid heat styling where possible, and if you do use heat styling tools, apply a protectant beforehand. I think that sounds quite a bit like none of what we chat about is financial advice. Do your own scouting or hire a director of Metaverse football. Avoid heat styling where possible. If you do use them, apply a heat protectant beforehand. There you go. That should be our new intro for once.
Although I do use heat.
You do use heat?
Yeah, blow drying. So that giveaway there.
That giveaway. It's not even...
Like, I do... blow drying is the secret, I would say. The blow drying. So Jimbo, maybe 1 month in Paris, you'll hear like the bathroom, some blow drying noise. Then the hair care routine is in full swing.
If I don't hear it, I know it's not the real you that's come to Paris.
Yeah, exactly. That's fake Calva. Maybe fake Calva is it. Okay, enough nonsense. You had any MFL related moment?
So I was thinking long and hard for this, and I want to give a big shout out to Duff this week, who has loaned me one of his strikers, Mr. J Goddard, to the Wyverns this season. I have 2 strikers, but I kind of want a better starting striker than Arango. You know Arango very well.
Well, you got to bench Arango.
But I'm gonna do. They're all gonna switch in constantly, sort of thing. So they'll both get. All 3 of them will get 15 games. But I wanted what worked for me last season was having one striker, which SUFC Blades gave me. Squirtle, we called him because I just can't outpronounce that Georgian name whatsoever. Who had like 94, 95 plus shooting. And I found that combination of high pace, high shooting with a striking partner who is just focused on shooting, has an abnormally high shooting stat. For me, second half season last year worked really well, especially against some of the OP kind of goalkeepers who are like 84s, 85s plus. Having a striker who's got 92 plus shooting is pretty good. So I managed to get a striker in, thanks to Duff, on a nice contract as well. So the Wyverns are good to go, the Espartales are good to go, and the Worms good to go. We are all ready to go.
You're totally ready for season 6.
And I had another showing on MFL with Laird on Friday, which he dropped out of his own stream, so I was hosting for about 5 minutes. It was quite fun. So it became MFL with Jimbo for about 5 minutes.
It happened. I did one stream with Quinn. It also happened, and I think he had to go to one of his kids. So I was like left,
yeah,
left with his followers, his viewers. But yeah, we are experts, of course. We can do that. We
of course.
Child's play.
Yeah.
Okay. Dev updates. So season 6 is here, and the team was busy, of course, with managing the rollover day and the rewards and everything, and of course the new reward packs. So yeah, they have been successfully launched. We could all buy those. The drop did go very smoothly this time. That's great. Although they hit again, although despite hitting record high numbers. So higher numbers, but more smooth. And they also improved the UI prior to the drop, so preventing many user errors. So that's all great news in terms of the drop. About the engine, the final version of the engine has been deployed. And the workspace last week talked about this. So here they announced this is the final version, has been deployed. So it includes another patch aimed at improving the goalkeeper behavior. Some other issue, last week's attempt, that wasn't very successful, but they are still working on some other fixes. But we have a final version, and Quentin also improved the defensive marking for future versions. Of course, as always, read the patch notes. The offers testing and improvement continues on the offers, which is great. Then the photorealistic project, formerly known as the secret project, steady progress on the industrialization, so mass production of AI guys, I guess. So they're working on that, and then minor improvements. I saw you were playing or highlighting this in one of your tweets, that there is a new joint agency column. So you can see, right, you said Arango and Roma are your oldest players, agency, like in your agency left.
Yeah.
So that is new, and a bug on the matchmaking system has also been fixed. So, what do you think? Any takeaways?
One quick one thing I learned this week, which I was embarrassed to admit, and it turns out I am just completely oblivious to this tool or this filter being available. I only learned over the last 2-3 weeks there was a price filter in the marketplace.
What do you mean What do you mean price filter?
You can filter out like the minimum and maximum values of a card. I never knew that was there. I never knew that was there. So, it seems really stupid that I never knew it was there because it's one of the most important filters within a marketplace. But I never knew it was there.
Okay.
Because it's above all the positional filters, so I never saw it. I just never bothered looking at it. So, yeah, I admitted that on the stream with Laird because I said I didn't even realise it. And I said, how long has it been there for? And people were saying, well, I joined last year and it was there. So that's kind of embarrassing for me. But that shows even the oldest can still learn tips.
Something related that's more embarrassing. I don't know, just popped up. That only after 3 years, I realised that WhatsApp is a pun for what's up. So it can even be worse, Like, WhatsApp, right?
What was in the messaging app?
Yeah. And then I only realized WhatsApp. Like
to be fair, I happily admit that that never really clocked to me either.
Really?
Yeah, maybe it makes complete sense now. But
yeah. It's like sometimes these things just click when you see them, or they're like so obvious.
Does that mean we're both boomers then?
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not even 30 and I'm out.
Let us know, guys, how boomer.
But back to the real dev updates.
Yeah.
The first thing I noticed when I read this on Friday was when Jack last week said for the photorealistic project that do they just keep plugging into ChatGPT? How can we explain something? Or how can we give updates about this project without actually giving an update? And I read all those 3 sentences and I've still not got a clue what they've updated this week about the photorealistic bit. It's just a lot of words I understand but don't really understand what the update gives. I think someone did say in the Discord, can we get like a roadmap or some sort of timeline with it? Would be good to see. But yeah, I think one thing. Hang on, before I mention something which I think fits into this dev update piece really nicely. Is there anything that you want to mention about dev updates quickly about this new rep?
No. I'm hoping those offers are there soon.
With good.
And the new reward. I want to ask you about the new reward packs. If you had to make a choice and to choose between one of the packs, and did you go for one of those guaranteed higher ones?
I didn't go for any of the higher ones. I still felt comfortable and better purchasing the regular range packs. If that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Sometimes I think if any of them that I would have gone for the upper may have been the 60 to 64 limited. I felt like the upper 90 to 94 one for Diamond or for the legendary players, which obviously most managers can't get apart from Diamond or so, they seem quite crazy in their price. Yeah, but I think when the prices got revealed, the prices didn't actually seem as high as we thought they were going to be. But then it'd be really interesting to see if they have numbers on how many have been redeemed by people, because it seems that still the common reward pack is the way to redeem and say like resell, for example, or things like that.
Yeah, so, I think the higher. So I'm more in the rare rewards pack range. And I got like 5 regular rare for 47 instead of paying 100 for this 80 to 84. Because also you have more shots at young guys. That's a bit how I see it. So you have a chance at a higher guy. Plus, if you have lower ones, this was my case. All of them, like I had 180 and the rest below 80. But 3 of them were 20, 21, 22. So with like, if I had only bought 2 200 ones and I had older ones, but now I had a bigger shot at younger ones and higher progression ones, more lottery tickets. And I also read it as some other people saying it maybe it's smarter to buy lower, cheaper packs, and you have also more progression shots than already starting higher. And a lot of risk. Also, you gamble.
Yeah, it's all about your risk appetite, isn't it? And I think one of the biggest concerns of people, if they buy those upper overall bands, the upper band packs, especially the 8084 and the 1994, is if you get the lower part of that band and they're say 26 plus, it's a real kick in the teeth. So, but if you got a lower end of the band on the wider range pack, the normal pack, the regular one we're all used to for the last X amount of seasons, and you still got someone old, you don't mind that as much because your expectations are, that's possible and that's sort of what to expect. Whereas if you get older guy, lower range of that upper band, you feel pretty pooed off. So, and interesting to hear later about some of the Diamond Managers' takes on some of those, because some of them responded with interesting takes.
Indeed, there's some info we got about their strategies in the regard.
But what I wanted to quickly touch on is a question that we got asked on Twitter to discuss, which if people want us to debate a couple of questions on the pod from X or from Discord, please let us know. And it's one that you replied to, and I thought it was, I think a lot of people will like to hear our thoughts on this, and it's about the pack drop, and
yes,
and it was from Doge Sports. Yeah, he basically said that, paraphrasing, he's saying that the second you click on the pack drop set out too quick is essentially what he was saying, insinuating that there might be more than humans acquiring packs, I think is the probably the political term to say it, and then majority of those being resold on floaty, or not majority, but a decent amount, and then suggesting or asking the question, should there be a fairer way to do the pack drops? And this is a question that I reckon we've debated on here for a long time, and one that every single suggestion has pros and cons, and it's really an absolute minefield to try and answer, isn't it?
Now, I what I said to him, I think we should bring back some kind of quests, and then, I don't know, like above a certain amount of points, you earn the right to buy one, like one pack, or like it was top 10, like you can buy a rare pack, top 20 uncommon or whatever, but at least you show like you have a bit of skin in the game, you care about the game, you do some retweets, you do some tweets, you do some content, you do, what were some other quests, like read the white paper, or like to make some effort. If you are just coming into the server, drop, sell the pack, you don't care, this is already a bit too much effort for just then doing that. Plus, you still keep some supply for new guys. But if you are a dedicated guy like Doge Sports, he is pretty active on Twitter. He's tweeting a lot about MFL. He's very engaged. I feel like you deserve like the right to buy at least one pack. Can be uncommon or limited. There's enough limited packs out there. So if out of the 100 right to buys can be given away by retweeting and posting content, we create N buzz. Plus, there's still 900 left for the rest of the people. So more MFL content, plus less dependent on fast clicking or fast internet. And yeah, what matters more, I think, is more MFL engagement than fast clicking and fast internet. So.
Yeah, I agree. And I think one thing I would maybe like to see them try and bring back was the limits per account to how many, not in terms of obviously at the moment you can only buy one rare, one standard, 3 limited, 3 kickoff. But previously in Calva, I hope you remember this as well, there was a case where when we had the mega drop, we'll call it, where it was that every fortnight we had a pack drop for about 8 weeks or so, and it was crazy. If you bought like a legendary pack in one of those drops, you couldn't buy one for the rest of the drop. You were out. And maybe it could be something along the lines of, there are 2 pack drops a season. If you grab yourself a rare pack on the pre-season, you can't do it for mid-season.
Yeah.
That's something. Also, the other suggested something like a reservation system, which is probably the fairest way, but probably the fairest way is like just a lottery, isn't it? And everyone's on the same table.
You could even say if you compete in a league or in a cup, you have the right to buy in that mid-season.
Some sort of restriction.
Something like that. Yeah, that you are active, so you get priority because you compete with a club. Then at least if you are a flipper and you don't care about MFL, you at least have to get one club and try to compete. And also no forfeits or something. Like if you can make it conditional, on some things that show you're active and you're committed, you have skin in the game, then you can buy.
If
Hashtag
your
skin in the game.
username is 16 digits all in one word or one together, like a wallet address, then you don't get you need to have a username.
So hope the team is listening, and we could have something like this. That would be amazing. Okay, let's move on. Then Diamond update. Well, later on we'll do all about Diamond, so it makes not a lot of sense to talk about it. Maybe the only thing is that Hertha's team Naples Goldfeathers beat Basil MFC 3-2. So Naples stays and 3 promoted teams. So way more about all the Diamond stuff later. Then the market moves as a new manager of the week, also because of the whole impersonation and 2 Calvas. I thought I pick Jorge Mendes. So there's now a second one. So you know the first one maybe. He uses some Chinese characters. Some people say he's a duck. That's what some people say. He has a bit of a reputation, but when you're dealing, there is now a second one. I don't know if that's also an impersonator or if it's the same guy. But just be aware, there is a second Jorge Mendes. He joined MFL recently. He got a nice Spark team from Vietnam in a club pack. And so far he's only buying a lot of common limited players, so he's not a trader. So good to know. Update your network shortlists. Stay aware. 2 Calvinators, 2 Jorge Mendeses. Pay attention to who is who. That's important as we grow. Then some market moves, common, uncommon. Is the age premium moving up, meaning are more ages getting special? Because I saw, for example, Spectre Ross, he bought a 74 striker, 22 years old for 110 USD. Jimbo, do you notice this, that the age of what is young is moving? The 22, 23, 24-year-olds go up in price as well.
It seems like people have gone 16 to 19. The players are too much money. So now I'm going to buy lots of 2024s. But then people who are selling them realise that this shift is happening. So they price them higher. And then it's just this constant lagging effect. And as players get older as well, those apparent become more, or to the eyes of the users, are younger. Because they now realize, actually, a player can play until they're 34 now. Oh, they can play until they're 35. So maybe 25 is not so bad.
Yeah, but it's also just young players getting more rare because this whole batch. Let's say all the 16-year-olds we had in the alpha seasons, they are now 22 even, right? Or 21?
21, yeah.
Or 21.
Yeah,
so this means that the big batch of players, like the big group, if you have you love geography, we should make a population pyramid, like an age, kind of pyramid of MFL. And then you'll probably see that, from 21 it goes down, gets super narrow in that chart. So I think that's why we see this keeps the bigger group, the younger group, they are getting more special, and there's not so much, people pulling young guys. But 23, I think I'm also buying 23, 24. So I feel like that age premium is moving up with older guys. So Spectros feels like that's worth it. 74 striker, 22, 110 USD. He might be right. Rare players is kind of the same. So you have kind of this 23, 24, 25. High rated 80s is becoming a more interesting market. I am there also trying to look at them, buying them for my gold team with the eye on the future. Many people are buying there, for example, TH Jame or Tiame. He bought an 83 center mid, 25 years old for 250 from Dio. So I think, that age, you still have potential upside. You have still some years before retirement. A little bit on the older. So I think it's a good range to buy. In general, Dio is selling a little bit. So he sold Sjoerd Krol, an 88 striker, Dutch striker, 25 years old, to the big ticket for 1,050. So more than 1,000. And clubs, Asunción Gold, sold by Truman for 415 to P5 PE, but I guess is Pepe. Pepe, yeah. Name Underdog Trophy Hunters, so he now has a gold team. It is a team of like average 80, So it looks a little bit like an MFL farming team, but hopefully they can get a bit more competitive and battle for 9th spots. And I'll splash a clock.
Well, actually, before we're going to Splash, I've got a club purchase.
Yeah.
Trust the Process, great friend of the pod, was on his second appearance on MFL with Laird during the week on Thursday, talking about how is the process going for Trust, and I think he was now up to either 68 or 69 clubs, which is just really just out of my mind. I think it's just crazy. I love it for him, but I think it's just crazy. I'd never be able to do that. He says any sort of club that gets down to like $60, $61, he just buys. Or $60 is like his limit, and he buys. If he says 61, he'll then start buying $62, $63. It sort of changes, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. And did he say how can he manage all of that?
Well, he spends a lot of time setting his lineups and how he does his rotation, and it's like 11-11 out, or not 11-11 out.
Yeah, you can do full swaps, just full constant
swaps. Yeah. But he then messaged me and said after the stream, he immediately broke his rule of not buying like another club in the short term by purchasing none other than, I don't know how I didn't see this, the Norwich Spark license was on the marketplace for about, it must have been at most 48 hours. So I said to him, nope, you could use it. I said, however, I might be interested in getting it off your hands next season, but this season I've already prepared all my sides. I don't have the capacity to bring in a fourth squad and fill it within 2-3 days. So Norwich Spark has been purchased. At the same time, the Ipswich Spark was sold by Zlatan Ibrahimovic to a guy called Daryl in the Discord server. So we've now got both Ipswich and Norwich Spark licenses.
They are out.
Which... Talking about Spark licenses quickly, sorry, slight tangent, but this is what we do. Couple hundred more big minted, but aside from that, they're all sold out, which I think is pretty crazy.
That is nuts. Yeah. So now the speculation is what happens now with Spark. Will there be another layer? Do we go already continental like before? It's previously discussed. More like, I'm personally in favor of that, of like multiple semi-pro continental pyramids with maybe on the bottom also some free-to-play to just get a bit more people, and then the higher you go, the more NFTs you need, and the more, and then you have to go full professional with only NFTs in our pyramids. That's what I hope. That's my dream.
If we make the assumption that these extra couple hundred licenses are being minted, which would be like the inactive locations that have now been relegated to Spark are being reminted, if we say those get sold out by the end of Season 6, do you think the team expected Spark to sell out within 100 days?
Definitely not. Yeah, it's like doubling it's double the pyramid, right? It's double the pyramid.
Because I think when I tweeted out and I said, 74 days, but that was without the knowledge that an extra couple hundred will be minted. But what's a couple hundred amongst 3,000 capacity of Spark Division? It's nothing, right? It's nothing. It's like, what, 7%, 7% of the capacity of Spark is going to be, some additional minting. So I think it's crazy.
It's nuts. It's nuts, indeed. I think it's also just people, well, a bit like trusts. It's like people who joined who previously had 1 or 2 clubs. They're now like, oh, okay, with the promo, I can get a kickoff. I can get another club. I can do a second or a third one. A bit like yourself, right? Like, just one and then second and a third. And then if everyone does that, it goes very fast, I think. With the license. But all right, Splash, we have a nice one.
What we want to hear about really is Splash of the Week. And we've got ourselves a nice Splash of the Week. It's actually very recent. I think it's within the last 24 hours, this Splash. Goes by the name of Jürgen Zimmermann. And by that surname, you might think he's German, but no, he's Danish. 91 overall. Selling for $1,600. He's a 25-year-old left back, left mid, centre back, triple position. Love the versatility. For those who love quick rotations and lean squads, he is one for you. 91 overall, like I said. Pace 89, shooting 57, passing 96, dribbling 86, defence 92, physical 83, being sold by Mr. Fantasy Gaffer and being purchased by Something Balling 23. And I've got an additional fact for you. until midway through 2023, this player was the tallest player in MFL at 6'6".
Really?
He was the tallest player for about a year. But he was the tallest player. Mr. Jorgen Zimmerman was the tallest player in MFL. Until, I think it's till about early 2023, mid 2023. And now you can get like 6'7" goalkeepers, so he's no longer the tallest. But he was for a bit.
Good fun fact.
The tallest man in MFL.
Yeah, that's also interesting. So, like for a 25-year-old, 1691, he is a very good player. A little bit on the older side, but yeah, I think that's what he said. Like, just the average purchasing age is probably going up as the young cohort gets much older, and there's not so much replacement guys. So also in the legendary market, but yeah, very nice splash.
He plays as a 89 centre back, by the way. So he's only too low when he plays centre back, which is quite nice.
Yeah, for your rotation, for your formations, also left mid.
Left mid.
This is like what I also said.
So,
but this is what I said in the video. Like I made a video that I also bought a left wing back who can play as a left mid, who is 83 left wing back, but 76 left mid. But the only thing dragging him down is that shooting. In a 3-4-3, I have 3 guys up top who can do the shooting. I don't need this left mid to do the shooting. He just needs to be quick, dribbling, passing, defending, physical. He needs to do all the other stuff. Same with this guy. You can easily put him left mid. I did before with Heredia for Magos in Madrid.
I was going to say Magos.
Also not so good at shooting, but amazing left mid. So maybe he can even play left mid. Let's see what something balling is going to do with him. Okay, any IRL MFL? I have one tiny thing. You have
Nations League this. I think Club World Cup kick. No, when does that kick off? That kicks off. I can't remember when Club World Cup kicks off.
The Club World Cup was one of the quiz questions. I think 11th or something.
Yeah, let me just have a look because it's Club World Cup. First game is on the 14th.
14th. Oh, it makes more sense.
14th, so the Saturday coming up. But obviously, you've got Nations League tonight. Spain versus Portugal in the final. I think France just beat. No, France beat 2-0. Obviously, a crazy game between Spain and France midweek. I think it was 5-4. It was like 5-1 for ages, and sort of, quick goals in quick succession. Norm probably would have guessed 9 goals being in that game, but alas. Quite interesting. This final, obviously, the talent of Cristiano Ronaldo, or had be talent, depending on some people's opinion, versus Lamine Yamal. It's sort of, is it the old coming out and the new coming in? It's quite an interesting one. I think that's sort of been touted a bit in the media, but that will all be done and dusted by the time you listen to this pod. Yeah. I reckon Spain take it.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, and Ronaldo has to find a new club to do some goal farming. I think he needs like 50 or 60 more to break the 1,000 goals. So it would be funny, like, is he literally going to play in kind of a bad league just to farm the goals in 2 seasons and be done with it? I think he wants to.
I think if your body can do it, and just the aura you have about you and like that presence of I can play for, even if it's lower divisions, I can play for a team still competitively and basically be made to start because of who I am. Even though I probably really shouldn't be starting, you go and get those extra 50 goals or so, right? You just do it because then the record you hold is phenomenal then.
I think knowing him, he probably would do it. I had about it. You said trust the process. You talked about him before. I feel like in IRL football, sometimes they also need to trust the process a little bit more. Like, for example, Spalletti, the coach of Italy, is already getting fired. Because they lost 3-0 against Norway. I mean, can happen, you have Haaland, Ødegaard.
Variance,
Norway has a pretty good team. You can lose 3-0. But they don't trust the process in Italy. Frag, maybe you can comment on that. But they fired Spalletti already. And of course, Postecoglou, Tottenham. They won the Europa League. And what does he get? He gets sacked for that. So yeah, that's like, are you trusting the process? A bit cruel.
I feel sorry for Tottenham fans, if anything, because I think they really hate their ownership, don't they? And Daniel Levy and co. And just when things look like, I'm not saying they turned just because they won the Europa League, but just when something nice has happened to their club, they go and sack the manager who's then gone and won them.
Finally win a trophy. He can probably rebuild it, maybe learn lessons. New Premier League season can end.
Yeah.
But yeah, he doesn't get a chance, so it's a bit crazy. Yeah, but that's opportunistic. That's football.
That's football for you. It's a harsh
football.
world being a manager.
Yeah. So luckily in MFL, no one can get fired. You're also your own director of football. Your own owner. Your own CEO.
England only beat Andorra 1-0, which I think is a tremendous achievement for Andorra, if anything. Only 1-0.
Yeah.
Which in a World Cup qualifier, I would expect that to be like 4-5, at the very minimum. So props to Andorra.
England should feel a little bit shame, I guess.
Yeah, we should
little bit.
Where have we heard that before? England should feel a bit shameful. Where have we heard that before?
Yeah, you can relate to to struggling with England. Okay, Diamond Deep Dive time.
Boom.
So let me do a little like what did we do? I do admit we were a little bit late with this, so not all managers got back to us, but we did send them kind of a list with some questions about 5 topics: squad building and transfers, tactics and flexibility, pre-season preparation, their season goals, and the future planning and how kind of they deal with retirement, because that's getting more and more relevant. So Jimbo and I, we both contacted 6, and for the people who didn't reply, we'll do our kind of own analysis and we'll go through the teams, the 12 Diamond League teams, like that. So I guess we can start from the bottom and then make our way to the top to Meta Mercenaries.
Go for it. Yeah, yes? Yeah, let's do that.
Great. Yeah, so I put number 12, but that's just because of the order of promotion. So because this was a platinum team, they ended second in platinum. Quito Platinum team, which has now been rebranded to Joga Quito Bonito MFC. Then you can already guess who owns that team, who's the owner.
Let me think.
That is Sturge, Mr. Sturgeonator, because he rebranded that team. And that is because we'll talk later about the OG Joga Bonito, what happened to them. But yeah, we talked about it. That team got bought for like 5,000 USD before. So I asked him about this, about his changes, and about his new teams, and how is he preparing for the future. So first, about Joga losing his OG team. So losing Joga was bittersweet. Of course, he played with this team for 13 seasons. It was like his club, but at the price that it went for, he was just very happy to make that 5,000, and he got like a 10x on that. So he's very happy with the outcome. Feels a bit bittersweet. First, he was like, shall I go back to Diamond or just with my London team try to work my way back up, because he has a London Platinum team. He first thought I'll just go with that, but then the FOMO creeped in, as he said, day by day, and in the end, he and Scrub, they made a little deal. So he got the Quito team, renamed it. Nice logo with now Quito in there, Joga Quito Bonito. And Scrub and Sturge, they are working together to put together, as they say, the highest rated Diamond clubs Sturge has ever managed. So he is very excited that he has his best Diamond team ever. So that is kind of the history. So Sturge is back with this team, kind of work together with Scrub. In terms of tactics, as Sturge said, a classic 4-4-2 baby, with a modern twist of a risk-averse approach. He says a blend of Arsène and Mick. So both are Arsenal managers, a big influence. He's doing a little bit more testing than usual, because also thanks to Scrub. Sturge himself in season 0.6 played like 300 games. He cooked up a tactic that worked, but he's now, maybe testing a bit more because of Scrub, thanks to that. And the goals for this season are higher than normal because of Scrub's contribution and loaning him a couple of good guys. So Joga was always like a team that's a bit more mid-table, and sometimes he would prioritize the cup, like last season when it didn't go well in the league, and sometimes the league when he had that nice run. But right now he wants to to go for a higher spot in the league and hopefully 2 in the cup. But it can depend. About retirement, he has a couple of very good guys who are, as he says, eligible for the retirement case of death on rollover day. So it is a possibility. He's slowly looking at some replacements. He doesn't have immediate replacements, but he is looking more into the lower packs. Jimbo, you already talked about the reward packs. He says the 90 plus packs are the good value for money, or 90 plus offers. He also feels the same about the 85 to 89 packs. Like, are they good money for value for money? So he's more looking at, I think, rare guys to train them up. So maybe a bit long, but this is Sturge's interesting new season. So he had a big change.
Yeah, he seems very excited about the change as well. Very excited about the season, especially that first part about the squad building transfer moves. It will be the highest rated squad he'll ever be playing with, which Sturge is one of the top managers in MFL. So when you give him the resources and the firing power of such strong squads, you know pretty quickly that he's going to be able to perform well with it. And something I found really interesting, actually, that you didn't say, which I thought was which was quite interesting. He said,
"Oh, maybe I read over it." But,
yeah. No, you didn't run over it. He said in season 0.6. This is talking about pre-season preparation. He said in season 0.6, I played almost 300 games to test team instructions and ended up using a tactic that clearly outperformed the other 8 tactics I tested. And he said I haven't changed a dial since. I found that really interesting, even through such, not just, and I've said this before with myself, but for 4 seasons, I didn't change any of my tactics. Not only has he not changed tactics throughout throughout the whole season 1 of season 5, even from season 0.6, 0.7, 0.8 breakaway, he's not made changes either, which I found is really interesting through the whole.
Yeah, all those engine changes.
All those engine changes, the same setup working for him, and he's always owned his players, right? So I think that maybe the benefits that sort of strategy when it comes to tactics. If you own all the players, if it works well for that core group, you keep that group and you keep using that tactic until it doesn't work. Whereas someone like myself, where it maybe doesn't lead so well, is when I have to bring swapping in, swapping out players. It doesn't work so well. But overall, I think he's very excited for season 0.6. 0.6, wow. Season 6.
Season 6.
And season 0, just because I read that. Yeah, Season 6.
Yes.
And it will be super interesting to see how this works with, we'll see him and Scrub. It's sort of like a little consortium between the two of them.
Yeah. Later, we'll talk about Scrub later, but it's interesting. Like, Scrub plays 4-3-3 with a CDM. And Scrub himself has 2 great left mids, right mids, who obviously now go to Sturge. So they kind of have a tactic that allows each other to, that these left mid, right mids can now go to Sturge. So he has Letic, one of the best players in game, goes to Sturge right now. So he has some ultimates from Scrub going to him, making it stronger. Yeah. So and then they're also each other's rivals, right? Bistione and Quito Bonito. Let's call them Quito Bonito now. Great name.
Quito Bonito.
Quito Bonito. Yeah, I like that. I think people like Bosco, they'll be happy that Quito might get some silverware this season. The city of Quito can have a champion or cup winner. Like, he has a very good and competitive team. So this team, this is a promoted team, but they can be challenging the existing teams.
And what happened when Jorge Bonito previously got promoted? Where did it stay in the resulting seasons? Where did it finish in the league? Above expectations and performed very well. So,
yes, we have to see. Let's move on. This is also another promoted team that I talked to Kinshu, who is the manager of Variance MFC, a team we know very well, who has been a bit yo-yoing between Plat and Diamond, and Kinshu kind of admits this, and he also stays calm. He says, I didn't change anything. No big sales during the transfer window. Only one purchase, but that's an 87 overall CDM, so that's a bit more for like his B-sides, maybe for the future with good progression. Also, he said, since alpha seasons, I always play 4-2-3-1 with always the same starting players. So he also doesn't change a lot. So a lot of
very similar
consistency.
to Sturge's system.
Yeah. And he has some budget, but he says the market for legendary players is very dry, and managers are retaining their biggest players themselves, like he also does. So he's not spending that money, or maybe looking more lower the rare or with some packs. And he also doesn't do a lot of testing in the preseason, but he always plays some friendlies against my friend Joby, who is a Diamond League veteran. So yeah, there's another partnership a little bit. Although I don't think they exchange so many players, but Kinshu and Joby, yeah, they are also friends. And he said, to be honest, he's very happy to be back in Diamond, but he knows, well, this sounds a bit pessimistic. I know I'll go back down immediately. The top teams are really strong, and my players haven't improved much. So, yeah, he doesn't expect too much from it, but he's there to earn enough MFL. Last season, he really prioritized League to get promotion. Now he might prioritize Cup a bit more. Because he doesn't expect too much from the league. And he says retirement, that's the most interesting aspect of the game. In the first seasons, he always earned enough to get like a legendary pack and a few rare packs. Now maybe 2 legendary ones. So he does get those packs and try to replace them or sell them, and then replace by younger ones. So he tries to sell a few players each time and buy younger ones for the future. So he tries to kind of keep it sustainable like that. So, what do you think of that story, Kinshu?
I want to start with a statement, not a statement. I can never get these words right. Do you think the Diamond League is very much like the Premier League and the Championship in terms of how it's set out, where you get a lot of clubs come up and they just cannot compete with the Premier League? Such a big divide. So that's, you said pessimistically, Kinshu was like, I'm loving being in Diamond, but I'm also accepting already that I'm just going to come straight back down. And how is that? For a manager, is that fun? I guess it probably is being a Diamond, but is that...
Well, later, yeah, we're going to talk about some new Diamond heists, some MFL farming teams.
Yes.
Which changes things, and also maybe his chances. Because, little spoiler, there will be 2 of those, how things are standing right now. Which means he only has to fight with another team for 9th, and he still has a chance to stay up. So maybe he shouldn't be too pessimistic about it. But it does seem weird. But yeah, he works with his own group, his own players. He hopes there's some progression. He keeps building, and hopefully with some luck, some retirement luck, and maybe some bad luck for other teams, and some good pulls from those Lego packs, eventually the tide can turn for him. But he just stays the course. The yo-yoing, he keeps yo-yoing, I guess, between Diamond and Plat, and that's okay for him. So, and with the MFL, he keeps building. That's his stretch. So pretty consistent.
Yeah, it sounds like he's quite on top of changing the squad dynamics, or the age dynamics of his squad. Having to take his words, buy younger ones for the future. The objective is to not have a mixed workforce of young and old, but it's not obvious. So they feel like they may be trying to.
Yeah, he's quite aware. Yeah, quite conscious and doing that. Interesting. Okay, so now the other promoted team, so the free promotion, Quito Bonito, Variance, and a team we know very well, BFC Barcelona is back.
Barcelona.
What about
yes.
BFC Barcelona?
So obviously getting in touch with B Sellers, who has managed BFC Barcelona, since day dot. When asked about the squad building and transfer moves, he put lots of upgrades. They did acknowledge they were overpowered for Platinum. Season 3 and Season 4 wasn't the best seasons for them, and obviously as a result, Season 4 they got relegated into Platinum. They made some adjustments to sort of perform well in Season 5. Their main upgrades are bringing in Shinny back in the midfield and acquiring Ben from Joe B, obviously Ben Hussein Ben, which way around it is now, the 95 who went to a 96, 97 or 94 to 96, whichever way it was, but an unbelievable purchase and timed very well too. Also upgraded their centre-back and their left wing. So they made quite a few acquisitions either through last season or now. Tactically, they've always historically ran a 4-3-3, the regular 4-3-3, and they're going to do so again this season with a 4-4-2 flex, with 4-4-2 flexibility. I like their ethos of you just play your strongest side no matter who you're playing against. Don't fiddle things round. Your strongest players are your strongest for a reason. You play them, and you make sure your tactics and structures are fit around them. He says you live or die by your off-season moves, not your mid-season adjustments, which I thought was quite interesting coming from sellers. So obviously some managers might disagree with that, myself, but you could argue that my pre-season, my off-season moves weren't good enough, so I had to make mid-season adjustments. Season goals. League champions, cup champions, everything else is a disappointment.
That's a spirit.
Yeah, that's a spirit. That's probably the expectation. That's the bar they're setting. But he says they're going to balance league and cup by opponent. Diamond will have some easier games, but one thing I found quite interesting is that he says they have to pray to the schedule gods that they space out these farming teams. They spread them out in the league. Otherwise, if you get them all at one time, it could be quite awkward for rotations and pieces like that. And then the future planning and retirement piece, I think 85 to 89 packs will help more with talent generation. They did open one yesterday on Saturday. Was it Saturday or was it Friday? It could have been Friday, in fact. And it turned out to be like an 89 rated 23-year-old player. So obviously the upper of that lower band and a good age as well. So it worked out for them, which may have influenced that sentence. Gives you more chances of progression. We plan on keeping the hopper full with our 3 feeder teams, obviously. All 3 BFC gold teams. We've got 3 gold teams now. 1 diamond, 3 gold. Should challenge for platinum promotion. The oldest core to Barcelona, BFC Barcelona, is only 28. So it's not that old. With the main pieces being 23 to 27. So they've got a nice young squad. So they've got at least 5-6 seasons before they have to sort of sit down and go, oh, we need some new players because some of them might be hitting that retirement symbol. So it sounds like BFC Barcelona want to just come straight back up and then want to just hit the ground running and keep going.
They're here to win and they're here to stay. That seems, but yeah, it seems very future-proof with that super young squad compared to other teams. I think in Diamond are relatively young, and indeed, it's interesting that they mentioned we have these 2 farming teams. So if you can space it out, do some rotations strategically within league and to do well in the cup, that does make a lot of sense. But yeah, it seems they are back with a mission. I do wonder if they can really challenge for league and cup. Do you think they are like
easier said than done, isn't it?
Lions, Meta, Mercenaries level, the traditional top 3, I would call it.
A lot of it depends on which groups you get put into. You could have a really horrible group you get put into in the cup, which could just throw it out the window straight away.
Yeah, league.
League. Yeah, league's always tough.
Based on their squad, I think definitely top 6, top 5, top 4. Like that should be top half of the table, definitely. But
you would assume the bottom line, the lowest expectation is top half. Anything, if you finish below top, bottom half of the table, then from a league point of view, that is not good enough. And if you don't get out of the group stage, that's not good enough. Arguably, if BFC Barcelona finishes bottom half and still in groups of the cup, that's not been a very good season.
No. Okay, let's move on. So, Naples Goldfeathers, they ended 9th, so they won their playoff match against Basil. Herta's team, he did not reply on time, so I did my own little analysis, a little spying. He has pretty much the same squad as last year. It's also fully owned by him, so he's just using his best players to keep playing with this game. So there's not much changing. Also tactically, I guess it seems the same. What is interesting, Jimbo, is last friendly he initiated in February. So this man, Hertha, doesn't play friendlies, or maybe I looked wrong, but it seems he doesn't play friendlies. Bit of a relaxed approach. I think his goal is also just to, to be better than last year and not get into this relegation position, stay in Diamond. Should be possible with his squad. I think he can be for like places 6, 7, 8. That should be feasible. And I assume he just also wants to slowly replace everyone, spending the rewards on the lower legendary packs and try to regenerate some talent for his team. But yeah, Hertha is a bit of an enigma sometimes. I mentioned before, right, with you, like sometimes he says I'm selling everything, then he sells some guys. He's still in Diamond. He listed Naples for 10,000. I don't think anyone would pay 10,000 for MFL farming purposes. That's also way too much. So yeah, I think just trying to be steady. 6, 7, 8, not much change, and hopefully do a bit better. That's Hertha's story.
Yeah. Ultimate goal will be stay out of relegation, and then anything above that is a bonus, really, isn't it?
I think for him, like 7, 8, 6. I think that's a bit like his range. Kind of the 6 to 9. Then Frag, you would say he's a bit in that same range, or does he have other plans?
Well, yes, obviously Frag managing MFC Roma, surviving in Diamond last season, of course. He says ultimately his objectives for his season is to confirm as many strong players as possible for Diamond, as it probably should be. But he has felt that there have been some challenges this pre-season, especially difficulty retaining loaned players that he had from previous seasons, especially wing backs and wide mids. He says he likes playing 5 at the back because 5 at the back is kind of unpredictable. And he sort of calls himself the leader of the 5 at the back gang. So I found that quite interesting.
The king of 5 at the back.
He also says the importance of having a big agency, and it allows him to sort of facilitate contract swaps and better deals, and not necessarily having to bring someone in, but can you bring someone in for, say, a manager who cannot use that Diamond League player because they're lower down in the pyramid, but can you then swap it with some of your own players and sort of offset that deal and facilitate that swap better, which is usually quite a smart way to go about it. Tactically, obviously, 5 at the back, sticks to a consistent tactic, but adapts if results or performances warrant changes. So he's quite, on that monitoring side there. Analyzes highlights and adjusts player instructions based on performance in friendly. So someone who really does look at friendlies and highlights. Which the one thing, the key takeaway I've got from these managers so far is that we have varying levels of
testing,
testing and commitment to that pre-season trial and error testing piece, which is very interesting. His goal in the Diamond League is to avoid relegation, because ultimately that allows him to earn more rewards and is a better training environment, and I guess ultimately a better match environment to an extent for his players. His strategy for talent regeneration: purchase and develop younger players, meaning newly minted Legos, in advance to replace retiring players. And then his take on those new packs is that, especially the expensive ones, the consideration of the new packs, expensive, there's 1994, but potentially useful for short-term solutions to player retirements. So if you've got a player who's suddenly on retirement, or got the retirement window popped up, and you've got a couple of seasons, or you forgot about it, or you've not really considered it yet, and you can afford one of those packs, if you need sort of the most like-for-like swap in, swap out, but obviously you're still dependent on position being the most key one there. But if you can deal with that, maybe buying one of those expensive packs might be worth it to try and do a one-for-one as best as possible. So similar to some of the previous managers just had, relegation, not being relegated is key, and they had the same opinion that some of the upper band packs are a little bit too expensive, but they could be good for a spontaneous squad improvement.
Yes. Yeah, and he says indeed he also includes already Sweet London and Jogo Bonito as the two farm teams that, of course, they are out of the picture, and then you have like 5, 6 fighting for survival, with 2 in 9 and 10, and the rest 4 are safe. So he anticipates that what we also saw. But yeah, I think also very realistic, and I like for people who are more in the lower leagues, the contract swap option is very interesting. Yeah, like sometimes people like to work with small ref shares, but you can swap players. I also did this previously with Gold and someone else in Plat. I gave them a good legendary. He gave me another lower legendary, 0%, 0%. And then you both save some ref, and you can get talents like that too. So it's good that he mentioned that to retain people in Diamond. So looks good. So they ended 8th last season. We're almost halfway. 7th was Atletico Tango, Big Wilbert. Also
Mr. Big Will.
You also reached out to?
Yes, got some response back from Big Will. But actually, a couple of weeks ago, was looking at where Tango was sat in the league historically. And I think they came second, maybe 2 seasons in a row, like season 1, season 2. And then since then, it's just been 7th or 6th every season. I feel like the Crystal Palace of Diamond, they're just always in the middle of the pack. Always there. And funnily enough, for one that we always, in our predictions, go, they might be top 3 or top 4. But for the last 4 seasons, they've just consistently been 7th, which is quite interesting. There have been some big squad changes for Big Will.
Okay, that's interesting.
We had to replace a 94 and 92 rated wingers with his own agency players, an 88 and 89 rated.
Ooh, it's a bit of
which is quite the drop up if they're 1-for-1 starters. Yeah. Added 2 pacey centre backs. He's also brought in, you might recognise the name Lituma. You know, the dev centre.
Yes, definitely.
Wonder.
Common to legendary.
Who's now in Diamond. He said one of the biggest strengths that he's got as a manager is how big his agency is. And he has one of the largest agencies with over 100 legendary players. So he does have a wide pool of talent to pick from, which obviously helps. I think it was the first or second manager we discussed, Kinshu, saying that the talent for Diamond is particularly dry, especially on the marketplace for sort of like fair value. It's particularly dry because obviously none of the Diamond managers want to sell a player, another Diamond manager, let alone loan them for something that's cheap, because you're effectively giving up strength to another Diamond League manager to make them stronger. Big Wilbur is in Diamonds a lean squad runner to effectively switch between 4-4-2, 4-3-3 and 3-4-3 plus some variation. But he has flexibility in the formations there, which we're seeing with quite a few managers. Does adjust formation tactics based on each matchup to avoid disadvantages. So interesting, he actively changes his setup. Limited testing, but currently feel it's mostly unchanged aside from goalkeeper and defender marking improvements. Goalkeeper, I'm still questionable about. I'm still seeing some hooning goalkeeping errors from the engine, but that's not for this episode. His expectation goal season 3, aim for top 3, but acknowledges strong competition and high investment of the team. So you have to put your hands up and say, can he not compete with that level? Should he even try? A bit like Formula 1, where you've got one of the lower teams with Max Verstappen behind him, and he's like, oh yeah, should I try and defend him? But actually, are you really competing against that club? Against that racer, against that driver? No, so just don't try and use too much energy and competitiveness against those teams that are too strong for you. Try and make sure you don't lose the teams below you, basically. He said he's proud to be one of the teams to stay in the league for all 5 seasons with minimal spending. He's proud of that. Minimum goal is to survive a 6th season, which is interesting. Obviously, it's a minimum goal, but I think for the most part, Tango should be pretty clear. especially with 2 underleveled teams entering, which I think should be okay. He wants to secure an early knockout qualification from the Cup because that allows him to then have a couple of games to do squad rest and rotation, which is a very, very nice luxury to have if you can qualify with 4 games, because you've got 2 games to just, apart from earning extra MFL, you can then focus on some league games if you need it there. Player progression. Eager to develop players when facing strong opponents regularly with a compact squad. Interesting, suggesting that leaner squad size. Future planning, the bit we're all really keen about with these diamond managers. He says, can grow most replacements internally. But like a vegetable patch, grows them internally. Or uses earned MFL from season rewards to buy key pieces. And when he says that, that makes me wonder, does he buy packs to sell them to them? But he did actually on Tuesday, or was it Friday? I think it was Tuesday. He opened like 15 packs on the Discord, and there's a bunch of us watching it, which was quite good and fun. And then the old firm favourite, we asked him about that upper band legendary pack. Big Will, far too expensive, and prefers more cost efficient upgrades. Basically, so that's far too expensive, around $3,000 in value, he reckons. So it's an expensive one to go for. So interesting. Another manager has basically gone, the upper band reward pack, not for me.
But yeah, look, just to intervene there, like look at the splash of the week, 1,500. So that's half of that worth an MFL for 91 rated left back, left mid, center back. So yeah, for half that value, you can get such a great addition to your diamond team, 25-year-old. Would you be happy with that pool? That's a bit how I look at it. Like, if you would spend that money or even half that money, would you be happy with that pool? Like, with a 90 to 94, 91 rated 25, maybe you're not too happy, but it's also half the price. So yeah, then maybe it's not worth it. But that's interesting. All managers, they are kind of selling, not for me. I don't know, Ronin, like the top dog, if he says that's for me, but the rest, they're saying a bit too much. I rather sell it or buy lower packs to grow that talent, right, from within.
Yeah.
Or monetize it and then do some like 2 or 3 upgraded pieces for that price. Yeah. So interesting take. Then so now it gets a bit complicated. But this was Jogo Bonito was number 6, right? Or 5th? No, 6. Yeah, there was 6. Yeah. Yeah. So Jogo Bonito MFC. So this is formerly owned by Sturge, but it was it's now owned by officially one guy, but there's 2 guys who own it and run it. So SUFC, Blades, and Rory, they are 2 people actually. Yeah, he just refers to Rory. I don't think it's the Rory, but it's another Rory. But they are both they're kind of MFL friends. They met through MFL and they've been talking a lot on Discord. And eventually this kind of flourished and developed into a partnership. So they both decided to offer for this Diamond Club and get the Diamond Club. To kind of farm rewards and be a bit like Diamond Heist, or maybe try to get in loans and to try to stay and compete. But they both mentioned that they try to get loans in, but this would pretty much eat up all their rev share with the current kind of guys they have. So they decided to go down the Diamond Heist route, the MFL farming route, because it's much more realistic. Plus, they can get a very nice chunk of MFL. And then they kind of see it as hopefully a step back and then 2 forward. So to just get that MFL, invest, get it in packs, maybe relegate to gold, a bit like Nep's plan, and then go back from there. So they have kind of a pretty similar strategy as Diamond Heist. Tactically, so they both mentioned that with their own teams lower, they first pick a tactic and then find the players, but because they cannot now they're happy with all players they can get. They looked at what can those players play, and they arrived at the 3-4-3 diamond or 3-5-2B.
Interesting.
But they also asked Jimbo you for advice. If you maybe want to share some advice there.
What, for 3-5-2B?
3-5-2B, although
from the man,
didn't go well.
From the man who's basically pivoted away from it in all my clubs.
Yes. Yeah.
It will actually be a rotation formation for me with the Wyverns, as it usually always is.
Well,
but
they are rotating 3-4-3, 3-5-2B. But yeah, they think their main challenge, of course, is the cup. So they try to do well in the cup with that team running those two tactics, and in the league, they pretty much give that up. Although they still have to fight with that one other team. Will be fun, like the two Diamond Highs fighting, who gets 11 and 12. Preseason wise, they couldn't do much testing because they only got the squad together fairly late. Those 83, 84 rated players, the ones they got very late, so they couldn't do much testing. So the goal for the season, they say full transparency, is just to earn MFL and hopefully have a good cup run. So, and then the objective is to get as much MFL as possible and go to gold, silver, and start from there together with this long-term project. So it's a long-term project, and sadly will involve a lot of losses before we try to turn it into wins. So that is how they phrase it. And then they also had some philosophy about how to spend that MFL and prepare for retirement. So SUFC Blades, for example, he says that he doesn't think 900k for 94 pack is very smart. He says it's actually crazy. And if I could ever end up having that amount of MFL, I would not go anywhere near them. I'd rather open 600 MFL packs to find the next diamond in the rough. So he would say full quantity, just rip 600 packs. Maybe what can you get for that? Like 600 limited? No, that's crazy. 200 limited, something like that. 300 limited. Yeah. 300 times 3. 300 limited, you would rather do that, or tons of commons, and then hopefully have some Legos in there. So that's his take on that. Yeah, so what to say about that? Jogo Bonito farms.
It's very interesting because when listening to all of that, if you just would have replaced all their names with Nep, Josh, and Japes, it would just sound like just the Diamond Heist, It would just sound just like, where have I heard this story before?
Yeah.
It's really interesting, isn't it? That you had Trust the Process, and then we had this rule named after him, or nicknamed after him. Then you had a couple in a season with nothing, and then Diamond Heist, and then we now got a couple of them. I even had a message from SUFC Blaze earlier on in pre-season. That striker I had at the Wyvern. He said, "Do you want to buy him off me because I'm poor? Me and a mate bought the Diamond Club to farm MFL. Lol." Which I found was quite funny. So, yeah, where have we heard this story before? Good luck during the cup. The cup will be a big thing for them if they can get through. I don't think Diamond Heist made it that far. If I'm correct, I think Nep's team made it that far in the cup. So, good luck to them. It's going to be, like you said, a lot of losses before they see some positive results come out of that side. But if they can, suck up that sacrifice,
I'm curious how that will go then. We'll have a Diamond Heist Derby. Let's call it like that. Diamond Heist Derby. Who is the best?
Well, they both get team. More than a point.
Yeah, but we have this rule now, and it's allowed within the rules, and it makes sense because MFL is quite valuable. So let's see how it goes. Later on, we'll talk about the other Diamond High style team. But first, Joby. And Joby is a big guy. Legends.
He is. The one club man. One club Joby.
Yeah, it's one of the teams. So I think, who said a big Wilbert said one of the teams that never relegated. Also, Legends never relegated. So one of the core teams of the Diamond League. So Joby says he already had a balanced squad with proper depth and double coverage at each position. So he's not really changing much, using his own guys, but with his team aging, he decided to sell Ben, who you mentioned just for BFC Barcelona. Sell Ben Hussein to recover some funds. And he covered the spot by May with a 92, and he's also progressing, ready to explode, ready to progress. And he bought another young prospect as a backup, so that's how we make slow changes. And his philosophy, he said, is to optimize ROI, and in 5 seasons he recovered already 30% of the initial investment, so that's pretty good. Tactically, he has a balanced default formation, but he can adapt it easily, tweak it a little bit depending on opponent to make it more defensive or more offensive, and he rotates with 19 players with no drop in quality. So he keeps this continuous rotation. That's what he does. And it was interesting, he fine-tunes roles and he focuses on attack defense characteristics for each match. So it sounds he takes it pretty serious, the match preparation. Although the preseason ones, he mostly ignores friendlies. He kind of knows his team by heart. That's what he says. He knows his team by heart. He's not doing any testing. But with engine changes, it might be a little bit of a risk. But he says he knows his guys. Yep. Season goals, top 5 in Diamond is his yearly minimum. He needs to be top 5, even if the league gets tougher. My players are too. Love that. So they love to reach at least the semifinals in the cup. He missed that feeling. Yeah, he's a big cup fighter.
Yeah,
and he says in the group phases I rotate a lot, but when it's knockout time, he brings out the big guns, the heavy guns, and goes for it with a deep and balanced squad. With that kind of continuous rotation, he's easy to manage. He says, and then for the future planning retirement, he says like those rare young players he sends on loan. Depending on their growth, he keeps or sells them. So each season he tries to replace at least one aging starter. That's maybe a nice rule. Try to replace one aging starter each year. But he said, let's be honest, some veterans will retire at home. They're more valuable on my team than on the market. I'm a numbers guy. I always move with EV in mind. So that's a nice way to end it, how he approaches that. And finally, this season's goal, Diamond top 3 and a cup final. If I get both, champagne's on me. Okay.
Right. Screenshot that. Screenshot
champagne
that.
For everyone.
We'll have to send some champagne to our addresses and we'll pop it open on the podcast. And
we are team OM Legends. Let's go.
We're team. He's gonna come first. That's I love Joe B and what he does at OM Legends. I remember vividly saying when OM Legends won the Breakaway League, and I said, if there's any league you want to win, or any season, you want to win in MFL, it's the Breakaway League, to carry that momentum through into season 1. Because you knew that was the last season before for season 1. And he is a cup fighter. We all know that. He has won the cup quite a few times. I think it's twice now. I think he's won it a couple of times, I think. I've been in the finals or semi-finals and above a handful of times. He's an interesting one where he has a very lean agency and only one club. He's like, I have my club and I have the players for it, and that's it. I don't really have anything else. He buys the players he needs. He sells the ones with a financial mindset, an EV plus mindset distilled in him, which coming from a guy who is very, if you follow him on Twitter, he's very Web3, NFT, sort of that trading piece along those lines. I'm not surprised he said that with an EV plus mindset. That is very Joe B in a nutshell. So I'm glad he said that out loud.
He knows what he's doing. That's the feeling you get. He really has a plan. And so far he's one of the consistent factors. Indeed, he's, I think, always meeting that goal, top 5, sometimes 3, 2. Yeah, one in the breakaway. So great. Yeah, sounds good. Then number 4. So this is another change. Last season we had XVIX with his London team, who surprisingly last season ended 4th, but then he sold that team to Nathan, or NetSuite is also his Discord name, I think. I reached out to him. He was just about to go on holiday with his 3 kids, so he was like kind of crazy, running around, busy packing. So I can imagine you don't have time anymore than to answer those questions. But I looked a little bit into his Steam And as it stands, as we said before, this looks like another diamondized MFL farming team. He has 16 players. 5 of those are commons, limited. The starting 11, he does have a couple of Legos and some high rares. So the starting 11 can do all right. It's still gonna, it can do all right in the cup. Can maybe beat the other diamondized team. And do well in the cup. But yeah, definitely not competitive in Diamond. And you could see them losing against all teams, especially because they will rotate in the league, because they prioritize the cup, earn as much MFL as possible, and build back better from gold onwards or maybe plat. So I think this is a rather similar story, right? Nothing to add. To that.
Yeah, another similar story we've seen already with a couple of clubs. It will be the race to the bottom, maybe. One that would not. But obviously, there's not a massive difference between sort of that bottom 3 in terms of MFL earnings. But if there are a couple of diamondized teams, you probably want to be the best of the best when it comes to diamondized teams. You don't want to be the bottom one. You can say we farmed MFL, but we didn't come bottom. Yeah. So, will they earn a point? That'll be a big goal.
And a little rebrand is also called Sweet London. Now the team is called Sweet London.
Is it one with the picture of the London sky skyline, I think, or picture of London, like a landscape picture?
I didn't.
It might be. I might have seen a different club logo.
I can check. But first, we can talk about the number 3 of last year, Dio's Amsterdam Lions.
Mr. Dio, Mr. Dio, unfortunately, a busy man, friend of the pod, very busy man. But we have managed to construct some analysis for Mr. Dio. But obviously, if he wants to, he can always chime in and tell us what he thinks. From a squad point of view, not much changes for Dio. He's another one, like many of the managers in Diamond, likes to own his own players. Does like to run lots of friendlies. Does some against meta mercenaries, experimenting with multiple formations. That seems to be a common theme amongst the managers, that they like formation flexibility, or if they haven't done it previously, they are doing it a bit more this season. Goals, as ever, top 3. I think top 4 will be where Dio would say, if he was here right now, he would say top 3, top 4 is his ultimate goal. Interestingly, selling quite a bit right now. Is this what you want to say, Calva? Maybe reinvest, buy some talents for long run?
Well, I just mentioned in the market moves, like 1 Lego, some rares. He's listing quite a lot. So that could be to build up some capital to invest in new talents or legendaries.
I think you also do find quite a few top managers do like resell common packs or sell common packs as well to try and raise funds, because they can buy loads of them and then they can sell loads of them and then they can use that most to basically get legendaries to populate their squads with, which if you're looking from a financial point of view, it's probably one of the smartest ways to go about it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I think Dio is not much changes. Is like stability, consistency, like Joe B, like Own Legends, kind of the same story. You have kind of similar stories, I think, here of diamondized teams, some consistent teams like Pick Wilbert, Joe B, Dio, and some other teams that are a bit on the move. 2 more, Scrub and then Ronin.
Yeah, so Scrub coming up next with his Bishone Milano. He is a very busy man as well. Maybe the higher up the pyramid or higher up the league we go, the busier these managers get, because they need to ensure they do their squad building correctly. Scrub, for the last couple of seasons, has actually finished quite well. He was 2nd last season, 3rd the season before, 3rd the season before, and then came 1st in season 2. So Bishone Milano has been a top side for a long time. It's also one of those that has always remained in Diamond League, so that goes without saying. Like many of the managers we've already spoken about, owns the full squad, has 5 ultimates, 6 ultimates in fact within his squad. A nice pool of players to pick from, almost too many, because he's allowed himself to go in a consortium with Sturge. So he's like, I've got too many good players. Let's have a friend and I can help him with whatever his squad. So he's got a lot of players to loan out. So we're interested to see how that partnership with Sturge works, and will that take away some of the, I know it's Sturgis owning or managing it, etc., but will that sort of have an impact maybe on how Bishoni Milano performs this season? But likes playing 4-3-3. I think as I was looking just now, he's playing a friendly against Meta Mercenaries, so it seems like maybe a lot of those top managers play against Meta Mercenaries, because why not test against him? Because if you can beat him consistently, you're on for a good set of tactics there. But also a lot of testing against his fellow diamond partner, I guess we can call it, Yoga Quito Bonito. So I'll get the Quito bit in there.
Quito Bonito.
Yoga Quito Bonito. Obviously, those two, they're testing together. They can communicate with each other to effectively do testing pre-season. Based on his previous performances, it's no shock that if Scrub was to answer, he would say top 3 is a must, and probably semi-finals of the Cup. And slowly replacing with all of his earnings, because he has a lot of earnings. So I imagine he does have quite a nice, let me just double check the ages of some of his. Yeah, the very nice agency. And I mean, even in Bishoni Milano, the oldest player is 29, then it drops down to 27. So he's at least, aside from one player, he's got at least 2 more seasons until any of the players in his current setup even can start to have a retirement symbol on them. So he's got effectively 3 seasons, 2 seasons at minimum, to try and think, how can I plan for future seasons and journey.
A relatively young squad, like Ballers, I think. They had a very young squad, which is great.
Yeah, the bulk of his players are 26 years old, down to 23 being the youngest, which is one of the goalkeepers, not his starting one, but one of them. And he has a legend, the ultimate Freddy Zapata, who's an ultimate 95 rated at age of 24, which is a very nice, very, very nice player to have of that level and that age.
Indeed. Yes, and not much to say about that, I think.
No, just Scrub will probably be there or thereabouts, as the classic saying goes. There or thereabouts.
We only have the most successful manager in MFL, we can say.
And I feel like with Dio, it's only fair that I'm going to read his messages out word for word, just so if anyone wants to know about Ronin and what he had to say to answer these questions,
great,
you want to hear everything, so you get to know Ronin a bit more.
Word by word, no paraphrasing. We were paraphrasing a lot.
No,
this is no paraphrasing. Meta Mercenaries, let's go.
The squad building and transfer move. He said the only move I made this off season was the departure of, oh god, this is going to involve player names. Shinarol to BFC Barcelona, or BFC Diamond. Sellers purchased him from the Mercenaries in the middle of last season. He says to build a competitive Diamond squad, I would start with a lot of money. That helps. Besides that, I would go for a very strong offence with a very strong defence and a very strong middle. It's dumb, but that's what it takes. Basically, every bloody position in Diamond has to be strong for you to be good. My personal love of the game is always on the offensive side, though, so I would start there if I was building anew. Tactics and flexibility. What has Rowan got to say about that? I believe in getting your best players on the pitch, similar to how BFC Barcelona have your best players out. So I'll be running a 4-1-2-1-2 narrow as well as a 4-2-2-2 again. Rowan has always played those formations, I think, well, since the season 1 anyway. I think the one season he didn't win the league in season 2 was when 4-2-2 wasn't performing so well. So I think maybe that's why he's gone to 4-1-2-1-2 narrow. Doesn't have any wide midfielders, hence they're both narrow formations. He said it works well for me since I have 2 of the best cams. Makes sense to play your best players when you can. 2 of the best cams in the game, and I want to get them both 20 matches to maximise progression. 4-1-2-1-2 narrow feels a bit safer to run out against the big boys, and 4-2-2 is a way for me to rest my centre mids at once against weaker opponents, which is quite a nice sort of in and out strategy he's got there. I run a lot of friendlies, a ton, he says, not a lot, a ton. Sometimes with people that I trust and we openly discuss what we are seeing. Other times against my own club Quito to test out ideas. Sometimes I scratch days of work and start back over it at balance because I somehow lost the narrative along the way. Interesting, sometimes he just goes, let's go back to balance and start again because it's clearly not working here. Season goals are always to win a double-double, NBA references. I go all out for league and cups. Having high-end backups makes it possible, albeit extremely hard. I believe I've only done it twice, and that's including Alpha in the double-double. I don't pay attention to MFL earnings until it's time to spend it. It's all about winning for the Mercs. It's all about winning. He says, I absolutely hate the 90 to 94 packs. Besides that, I'm building for long-term success. I'm very much treating this like a real sports franchise that will continue to grow. The words of the most successful MFL manager in MFL. in history, in the metaverse,
for sure. No, it sounds good. A lot of wisdom, I think, in there. Just consistency again, play those tactics, same group. He also agrees with the take that the 1994 make no sense, and gets the lower ones to kind of grow the talent yourself, I guess, with the progression there, or maybe spend on what you see as a fast growing talent. Yeah, no, definitely again the man to beat, I think. I guess what are you gonna say?
I was gonna say, well, it's the team that every other Dire manager, so it looks, tests against, and use them as the litmus test. If you can perform against meta mercenaries, then you're doing something right. However, it's one thing to play against meta mercenaries in pre-season, do all right, which Ronin says he does a ton of friendlies. So if you're performing well against meta mercenaries, it could be you're playing against a meta mercenaries lineup, which Ronin is still working out his own tactics. So it's almost goes without saying, pre-seasons don't really matter if you're playing someone like Ronin, because it could be completely changed when you play on the first game of the season.
Indeed.
So he's just obviously an absolute tank of MFL. And I love the fact he says at the very end, I'm very much treating this like a real sports franchise that will continue to grow. So even though he wants to, he wins most seasons and he's one of the strongest squads, he is not letting that get to his head, and he continues to try and get better.
Yes. So we could do a very quick prediction, maybe. Just fun. After all of this, that we kind of evaluate, like based on all of this info, what could be our top 12, and maybe one or two takeaways, lessons for people from. I've just had Scrub drop in some messages quickly, so I'll just spend a minute
updating on things that he or we would have missed. Number 4 about expectations. Goal is to finally win a diamond title and try to get his plat club promoted for the YouTuber project, which I'm not sure he's ever discussed about, but I think his ultimate goal is to maybe have another diamond side that some YouTubers can run for content, which I think is quite interesting. But so it's interesting that he's said that. Do you want to guess his thoughts on the new reward packs, Calva? Have a guess.
Based on everything, they're bad.
Overpriced, yes. Most top earners I've seen have preferred the route of buying 85 to 89 Lego packs and hoping for development. And then one nice thing is, and then he goes, hoping a lot of my stars don't retire early, as I have big plans for them in the YouTuber project. I want to help the game grow. I want to grow. Oh my word, Jimbo. I want to help grow the game exponentially, as we know how much fun it can be and how amazing the team is. Hopefully, and how amazing the team is. But hopefully got that in on time. You just about did, Scrub. You just about did.
Just in time. That's great. Well, I'd love to hear from him and confirm some things. Yeah, so super quick prediction, hashtag, and I think then we're done.
Then we can wrap things up for Diamond Deep Dive.
Yes. So if we look at all of those teams, well, I guess 11, 12, we can be quick. It's either Sweet London or Joga Bonito. But then it's like, who are 9 and 10? Who are the other teams who get in trouble? What could we, based on all of this?
Maybe Variance MFC.
Yeah, I guess Kinshu, he also expects himself. So
yeah, when the own manager says I'm not expecting to do well, usually that means they're probably not going to do so well.
Self-fulfilling prophecy a little bit.
Yes.
Plus they're prioritizing Cup a bit more. So Yeah, Variance could be 10 for 9th.
And then because we've got more Diamond Heist teams, it means that gap, what will it be? We've got 12th, 11th, 10th. That 9th spot could be really tasty, where there could be about 4 or 5 teams that are just constantly in and around that area. You know, you could have the likes of Herta or Frag's side, but because of the Diamond Heist teams, it's essentially giving away 6 points a season to everyone. Everyone's going to pick up points in around that area. So it's going to make it vitally important to not lose against basically anyone who isn't that bottom 3. Because if you do, you're in trouble. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a repeat of last season where it's, you know, Naples, even Tango in there for a bit, Frag, at least those 3 sides in and around that mix. I hope for none of them it is them, but you could easily see that happening.
Yeah, I think too. I think Variance, Naples, Roma, those for sure. Maybe Tango with some replacements of those good guys. They could be in that 9th, the relegation fight, a 9th spot fight. And then, top 3. Well, you could say Mercs, Bistone, Amsterdam, but what is Quito Bonito gonna do?
Quito Bonito.
Quito Bonito is like kind of the Joga Bonito on steroids. With scrub steroids in there, the Quito Bonito.
It will really show how much Sturge is made of if he can really perform with this squad. Not having Joga Bonito for the whole time, switching up, being in a sort of, you know, a consortium DAO, whatever to call it. Not a DAO, but you know what I mean. With Scrub, so having some players there and some of his own. I think he'll finish top half. I don't think he'll finish top 3. I think
what about
BFC
Ballers? That's the other. I think those are the two bigs. They can be surprising because
I think that if they can keep momentum up, I can see BFC Barcelona coming top 3. There's just something about their squad and their revenge for how they were mistreated in season 4 by the engine and so on and so forth. I think they're coming back with a bit of a bite. My guess for top 3: Meta, Bishone, and Barcelona.
Okay, then
That's my top 3.
I'll say Meta, Bistone, and Quito Bonito. I believe in the Quito Bonito project, and just because I love saying Quito Bonito. So they are 3rd, I think.
I'm going to make a bold prediction that whoever finishes top 3, hopefully the 3 I've predicted, whoever finishes top 3, what those clubs don't win the cup. It will be a team outside the top 3 of Diamond that will win this season's Titans Cup. That's going to be another bold prediction from me. Right, ladies and gentlemen, you've been very patient in getting this far into the episode. If you've listened all this way, thank you so much. And we will now reveal to you our wonderful hashtag for today's episode. Hashtag go, and then the team that you will be supporting for Diamond League Season 6. We could have said who you're going to predict to win Diamond League, but most of them will be Meta Mercenaries. And I know that Diamond League doesn't necessarily get the love it should deserve because a lot of people don't have interest there, but maybe you've got a little bit of interest. You know, even if you are a lower league, a lower div manager, there's always a tiny percentage of you which follows and has a little bit of a bias towards a particular Diamond club. So I want you to show us and the rest of the community that following for that particular club. Hashtag go. And then Calva, for you, for example, what would your hashtag be if you were listening?
Let me be very patriotic and say, go Lions.
So he's an Amsterdam Lions fan. Look at that.
Yes. What about you?
Do I just go patriotic then? And do I have to go hashtag...
Oh, sweet London. Go sweet.
go London.
Go London.
I was going to say go Britannia. Go London. No, I think I would like to be... I've always had a little bit of a subtle bias.
Go Quito, as like you also love the Quito.
Hashtag go Quito.
Go Quito.
So yes, so hashtag go, and then the team that you will be supporting, you're a fan of within the Diamond Division for Season 6. Probably by the time you listen to this, registration is closed. However, it usually is a extension. There's currently just shy of 5,000 people or 5,000 clubs signed up, which is absolutely bonkers. So don't forget to get signed up. only a couple more days, folks, until matches start for Season 6. For those of you in the WenDirk Cups, hopefully it's been resolved by the time you listen to this. If not, I do apologise. We come back. We come back stronger next season with Chumbawamba. We go again. And right, thank you, folks. Wrap it up there. Thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you this time next week for an episode of the WenDirkCast. Thank you for listening.